All right, let's talk about Mark Cuban. You know him from Shark Tank, the billionaire investor. We're going to break down his 9 rules for building wealth. And look, this isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. It's a real blueprint, a strategy that's all about discipline and having the right mindset.
So why should you listen to this guy? Well, here's a pretty good reason. $4.2 billion. That was his net worth back in 2020. You just don't stumble into that kind of money by accident, right? There's a method to the madness. So let's dig in and find out what that strategy is.
And this quote right here, it's really the key to his whole philosophy. Getting rich isn't about luck, it's about discipline. I love that. He sees wealth as something you build, like a house, brick by brick. It's all about intentional habits, day in and day out. And the rules we're going to go over, that's the blueprint for building it.
Okay, first things first, we're going to talk about building your financial fortress. Think of it like this. Before you can go on offense and start scoring points, growing your money, you have to build a rock-solid defense. And that's exactly what these first few rules are for.
All right, rule number 1, live like a student. Yeah, you heard that right. Even when you start making good money, you've got to resist the urge to upgrade everything. Cuban tells this great story about how he kept driving his old beat-up car even after he got his first big job. The lesson here is so important. Just because you earn more doesn't mean you have to spend more. That little gap you create between what you make and what you spend, that's the seed money for your entire future fortune.
Next up, we have to talk about public enemy number 1 when it comes to your money, credit card debt. And man, Cuban knows this from personal experience. He's talked about a time when debt collectors were calling him literally every 2 minutes. Can you imagine that stress? It's not just annoying, it's a total drain on your energy, your focus, and obviously your bank account. His advice is simple, just get rid of it. Avoid it like the plague.
And that brings us right to rule number 2, ditch the credit cards. Seriously, think of it as 2 different roads you can take. Down one road, you've got credit cards, which can be a fast track to high-interest debt, stress, and just way too much temptation. But the other road? That's debit or cash. It forces you to be disciplined. Why? Because you can't spend money you don't actually have. You're in the driver's seat, totally in control.
Okay, rule number 3 is all about building yourself a safety net. But I want you to think about this differently. An emergency fund isn't just for, emergencies. It's for freedom. Having 6 months of your living expenses tucked away in savings means you have options. If you get laid off, you're okay. If you absolutely hate your job, you can leave. It lets you make moves based on what's best for you, not out of sheer desperation.
And the best part? Figuring out how much you need is super simple. Here's how you do it. First, add up all your essential monthly bills: rent, food, utilities, the basics. Let's just say that comes out to $2,000. Then you just multiply that by 6. Boom, your target is $12,000. That money sitting in the bank, that's the wall around your financial fortress.
Okay, let's wrap up this whole financial defense section with 2 super practical rules for mastering your spending. We're talking about rules 6 and 7 here. First, buy stuff in bulk, but only when it's on a deep sale. If toothpaste is half off, heck yeah, buy enough for a year. Just, maybe check the expiration date first. And second, learn to love cash. Cash is king when it comes to negotiating. A yoga studio might happily take $70 in cash instead of waiting for $100 on a credit card because they avoid all those fees. For you, that's an instant 30% discount. Not bad, right?
All right, so your defense is solid, your financial fortress is built, your spending is under control. Now it's time for the fun part. We're shifting from defense to offense. This next part is all about how to actually grow your money, how to make it start working for you.
So where do you even begin with investing? It can feel overwhelming, right? Well, Cuban's rule number 4 is perfect for beginners. Start with low-cost mutual funds. The logic here is really simple. They're run by pros, and they automatically spread your money across a whole bunch of different companies. That's called diversification. It means you can get your skin in the game and lower your risk without having to become some stock-picking genius who's glued to the market all day.
Now, his 5th rule is all about how you divide up your investment money. He has a really clear formula. 90% of your money goes into those safe, steady, foundational investments we just talked about, like those mutual funds. Rock solid. But that last 10%, that's where you get to play a little. That's your fun money. And when I say fun, what does that even mean?
Well, this is your high-risk, high-reward money. We're talking about things like Bitcoin, maybe some art, collectible baseball cards, or even those super rare sneakers. It's basically anything you're really into and have a gut feeling could one day be worth a whole lot more.
Okay, but listen up, because this is probably the most important part of this whole strategy. There are two conditions, and they are non-negotiable. First, you have to be 100% okay with losing all of that 10%, every last dime. Just consider it gone the moment you invested. And second, you never, ever go over that 10% mark. This is the firewall that protects your main investments. It lets you take a shot at something big without risking your entire financial future.
Okay, so we've covered defense, building that fortress. We've covered offense, growing your money. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, the billionaire mindset. This is the software that runs the whole system. These are the mental habits you need to keep it all going for the long run.
And this next rule, number 8, might just be the most powerful one of them all. Read a lot. I'm serious. Mark Cuban reads for at least an hour every single day. And for him, it's not about relaxing. It's about preparing for battle. He genuinely believes that knowledge is the single biggest competitive edge you can get, and it's also the cheapest.
And this quote just nails it. One idea from one book can be worth millions. Think about that. The return on investment for a $20 book could literally change your life. One new way of thinking, one little idea you pick up from a book, could be the key that unlocks a massive opportunity. It is, without a doubt, the best investment you can ever make in yourself.
And here we are at the final rule, number 9. It's so simple, but it ties everything together. Work hard and be nice. Look, business is competitive for sure, but at the end of the day, it's all about people. Cuban is adamant about this. Being nice isn't just about being a good person, it's smart business. When you treat people well, whether it's your family, your employees, or your customers, they want to do their best for you. It's really as simple as that.
So there you have it. That's the whole playbook. We started with defense, building that financial fortress. Then we moved to offense, making your money grow. And we wrapped it up with the mindset that glues the whole thing together. It's a complete blueprint for building wealth.
But you know what? A blueprint is useless if it just sits on a shelf. You have to actually do something. You've heard all 9 rules, and you don't need to do them all tomorrow. Just pick one. Just one thing to start today. Maybe that's finally cutting up that credit card. Maybe it's opening up a spreadsheet and figuring out your emergency fund number. Or hey, maybe it's just committing to reading for 20 minutes before bed tonight. The specific rule doesn't matter as much as the act of starting. So I'll ask you directly, which one are you going to start today?